This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted number one talk radio show in Arizona.
Number one during your morning commute.
Number one whenever news breaks during your day.
And number one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? Welcome to the Monty Show. As always, we are presented by the Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com. When you've been in an accident, when you need help, when you're trying to figure out how to pay your bills, don't reach into your pocket, reach for the phone and get to UtahAdvocates.com. How about this backdrop today?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't
Yes,
get any
sir.
better than that, does it? No, it does not. We are still live on the Kona Coast here in Hawaii. Coming up in about 30 minutes, BYU offensive lineman Harris LaChance will join the show as we start looking forward to Baylor. It is already Wednesday. And I think the biggest question I have this week about BYU football is BYU football getting the respect they deserve. I was a little alarmed yesterday looking at the graphic of the AP top 25 votes and seeing that a good number of AP voters left BYU off their ballot altogether. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what we see every year. I mean, was I surprised by it? No. But I think from a football perspective, it's surprising. But from a branding, PR, BYU deals with X, Y, and Z every single year because they're BYU perspective. No, I'm not surprised at all. And I think that BYU consistently outperforms expectation, and I think that's why they've been able to kind of build this momentum that they have. I go back to the Zach Wilson era, if you will, and that season sort of launched them, I feel like, into this new level, if you will, and now you're headed into the Big 12, and I think that they're slowly starting to get that respect, but right now I still think it's crazy that there are AP voters who wouldn't even include them in the top 25, even if it's the number 25 slot.
Yeah, and I mean, after a dominating win, and I think this is the biggest issue, okay? So you're BYU football, and you are 25th in the country. Mm-hmm. You dominate South Florida. I mean, in all phases of the game. You go down there and you just swoop, and you only rise 4. Mm-hmm. And you have guys who, had BYU at number 20 to start the season, off the ballot now. So wait, let me get this right. You had us at 20, and we dominate USF, and now we're off the ballot altogether.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, if
man?
I'm a BYU football player, and I'll ask Harris this, but Harris is going to say, well, we don't pay attention to that.
No way.
No, we don't. Yeah, you do. And if I'm Kalani and if I am Tom Homo, I look at Utah football, and I feel very fortunate that if I'm a Ute, hey, we're only 13th in the country after what was one of our worst performances probably in the last 2-3 years. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong, and Utah only falls to number 13. I'm surprised it didn't fall a little further. But this is kind of the perception being reality thing I feel like we always talk about with football on this show, and that is that, hey, listen, it's BYU. As I always say, BYU, you're always going to have to do it twice as well as the next guy to get the credit that you're due. And I think when you look at the way that people voted in the AP this week, it was clearly a slap in the face to BYU. Yeah. BYU could not have done more, but where am I going to go with this? Well, if you score 60, it looks better than 50, right? If you don't take your foot off the gas and you and I'm not saying that you should go out and humiliate people, but if you curb stomp USF and you score 60 on them, my guess is that's a lot more noticeable to voters than scoring 50.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's kind of this Alabama-Utah State conversation we were having yesterday on the show about how Bama goes out and throws up a 55-0 score. And I think that it's almost like it's not even about 60 being this like magical number. It's more about, okay, if you're going to put up 55, the other team better have no points. Or if you're going to put up 60, then the other team better have like 10. It's like you just have to, again, the way you win games absolutely matters in college football when it comes to AP rankings and the college football playoff and in the way your season's going to go. And that's why I say, 55 or 50 points, 50 to 21, like that's a dominating performance, but you're not just out here to win the game or to dominate the team across from you. You're out here to make a point and prove a point to all those folks out east.
Because all those folks out east don't watch your games.
Yeah.
No, I can't believe that any of the voters who let BYU off their ballot, I don't believe they saw even a minute BYU and USF. I just don't buy it, because if you did, you wouldn't. There's no way that you leave BYU off that ballot. There just isn't. I mean, it makes no sense. And I say this about Kyle Whittingham and Utah. San Diego State's another team that comes to mind that got absolutely beat badly in the opener of Snapdragon Stadium. I mean, that was a huge moment in time where at the end of the game you had empty seats, you had empty stands, and that does not look good when you're trying to make your case to get into the Big 12. I think that's a really difficult situation. So I feel like we almost say it too much now. Perception is reality.
Well, and I think for both sides.
The way it is.
For both sides, right? I mean, obviously perception is reality for every college football team that comes into the AP top 25, and I think that includes Alabama. I mean, we're having this greater reaching conversation about Alabama just being, auto bid into the number one overall team in the country because it's Nick Saban. And, everyone in the preseason was saying this is the best team that he's had and who knows how long. I mean, that's what perception can do for you. So I think, like for Utah as an example, I think that a lot of people are kind of making the point that they're lucky not to have slid further down the poll.
I would be one of those people.
Yeah, and so I think, again, perception's reality. In this conversation, I love this conversation because I think that, when we look at BYU and everything that's gone on lately, and then you look at the football program itself and the X's and O's and how they're actually playing on the field, they played a good ball game. Like Utah played a halfway decent game, but both teams have things that they needed to do better to get to where they wanted to go. If Utah, tackles even a touch better, I got to think they win that ball game. If BYU throws up 60 instead of 50 and has a couple more, possessions for the ones, who the hell knows where they would have wound up. But my point just is that, perception is reality in sports, and I think it applies to everything. So that's why I say, if you're BYU, it's like full steam ahead. Now, that said, you did win. You did dominate that team, and now you have an opportunity in week 2 to go out and do that again. But the problem is that everyone thinks you're going to get beat by Baylor, and that's a problem. So if you can, it's a good thing for you, though, to be a dog, because then if you go out and win that game, it's way more impactful. Because, again, the perception thing is alive and well.
But how much and this is going to make me sound like a homer. I really don't care what people think. I think this is damaging to the AP. I mean, if you leave BYU off your ballot, I mean, you have zero credibility, none whatsoever. I mean, there is nobody who knows college football that thinks BYU is not a top 25 team. That there is nobody that can make a logical argument that BYU is not one of the 25 best teams in the country. And I point to Andy Greeter, who is in Minnesota as an AP voter, who writes more about MLS soccer than he does about college football.
Facts.
The guy shouldn't have an AP college football vote. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Well, that conversation about who should have a vote and who shouldn't have a vote and how they go about that process and the integrity of the AP, this kind of goes back to this conversation about SC and them climbing the ladder and how this process takes place in college football. There's this whole idea that you have people, as you just said, who are more well-versed in MLS than college football voting on the AP top 25. It's crazy to me. And I understand that, college football writers or people of, respect in the industry have to be the ones voting on this. But it seems to me that we're more focused on someone being able to say they're a writer for the Tribune or whatever Minnesota's Salt Lake Tribune would be, let's say, than them actually knowing what they're talking about in college football. Because I tend to agree. Nobody in their right mind leaves BYU out of the top 25. Even if you have them at 25th in the nation, I can respect that, because I'm sure you had reasons for that. But to leave them out altogether, I think is a little ridiculous.
And again, I only point to this Andy Greeter character because I don't know that he's a bad guy. He just clearly doesn't know college football. I mean,
it's not personal.
No, I think if you follow him on Twitter or look at his Twitter account, you very clearly see a guy that covers, Minnesota United. Excuse me.
Yes.
You very clearly see a guy that covers Minnesota United, not a guy that covers college football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the problem with the AP poll, and I think that's why so many people want a different way of measuring, who gets in where. And I think that's why college football doesn't put as much weight as it probably should or could. On the power of my voice. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I think that people want, and we've wanted this for, probably a decade. Like, we've wanted a way to not only rank teams, but decide who gets into the college football playoff. How many teams should that be? Like, we've wanted, like, I think as sports fans, just generally speaking, we crave like a rubric that says,
yes,
hey, you made it or you didn't make it. And we get that in professional sports pretty much everywhere. I can't really think of a professional sport off the top of my head where you don't make it. Now, in professional sports, there's a lot of conversations around, well, is the rubric good or bad? Like in Major League Baseball or the NFL, you have a lot of conversation around the wild card setup and all that good stuff. But the problem is in college football is there's too many damn teams that have a rubric. And that's why I've always maintained that you got to have a falling off point where you
right,
have to
sure,
you have to check this criteria just to get into the conversation. Then that allows us to create that rubric. And that's why I think things like the AP, for schools like BYU who are they're not in a conference right now. They're still independent and have been, obviously. For teams like that who are independent constantly or regularly, that's going to be a struggle. Like for Notre Dame, you have people that'll tell you for the last 10 years Notre Dame has been some amazing program. And then other people will tell you, oh, this has been a horrible program. And that's the issue I have. There should be some sort of measuring stick to say, yeah, it's a down year. Outside of, hey, they're not winning games they should win.
Right.
That's the problem we have.
Yeah, I don't think there's a clear-cut criteria. My question is there a clear-cut criteria to be an AP voter? That's
a
the
whole
biggest
other
question.
thing, too. I think it's a very valid question. And clearly there must be, but clearly there's not a stringent enough one to make sure that things like leaving a team like BYU who performs at the level they do out of the top 25 to make sure that type of thing doesn't happen, So I don't know. It to me, for the longest time, I'll be honest, I wasn't some huge college football nut, and this is part of the reason why. Like the USC thing annoys the living hell out of me. Like USC gets more credit because of their brand than because of what they do on the football field, and I get it. That matters right now in our current setup. That's the reality. But
and I think more people watch USC football, and USC played Rice. Boat raced Rice, dominated Rice. Caleb Williams is everything you wanted in a quarterback.
Totally.
There's this great story about his advocacy work off the field this week. Like, that's what we're missing at BYU. I mean, you don't have a ton of eyes on a BYU USF game. I think BYU Baylor will be widely consumed by most college football pundits this week. It's a huge game. But when you look at BYU and USF, nobody's paying attention to that game. So nobody, and this is why I asked the question today on the show, is BYU being disrespected? I think they don't get the respect that they deserve. Are people like that, it's only BYU, screw them? No, but I think BYU's an afterthought. I think BYU's, out here in the periphery of college football. Well, but I think they've earned a seat at the table, and I think I simply put, believe that they deserve an advocate, much like you deserve an advocate when you have an accident.
You see what he did there? Advocates, and like it all kind of works together.
This show is presented by the Advocates Injury Attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com. If you've been in an accident, if you need help, friends, please do not wait. Do not try to tough it out. If you look down at your feet right now, there are no bootstraps to pull yourself up by. Get with the advocates at UtahAdvocates.com. They are going to fight for you. They are going to make sure that they defer your medical bills so you don't have to worry about that. You don't pay them anything. They have a free, no cost, no obligation consultation. And if you go to the advocates and they take your case and you guys wind up working together, you pay nothing out of pocket. There is no cost to you until and unless the advocates win your case. That's how good they are at what they do. They don't charge you until they win your case at UtahAdvocates.com. UtahAdvocates.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Yes, the advocates are our presenting sponsor of the Monty Show. Appreciate them coming on board as we talk football on this show. And I want to get your comments because I see a lot of people commenting on the show this morning about this. Lopes fan Gabe, the first one in this morning. Hello.
Well,
good
hello,
to see you, Lopes
sir.
fan Gabe. Karen Montemayor is back. Good morning.
Casual.
Can't believe your favorite family member wasn't invited to Hawaii.
Well,
Karen, just didn't have a place for you to sleep. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, Jesse Harsh says, morning, boys. Listen, I'm just saying if Charlie Brewer had started against Florida, but seriously, I've been saying all offseason, Utah is their own worst enemy, and just like clockwork. Well, I think with the Utes, Kyle Whittingham's press conference was very telling. It was very interesting because he talked a lot about whether or not they should have reviewed that goal line play with Cam Rising. I don't think they should have reviewed it. I think that there was not enough evidence to overturn that. I think it would have been a wasted review. Did he get in? I don't know. Cam was pretty adamant he got in, but I don't think that's why they lost the game. If they review that and it's a touchdown, sure, Utah probably wins that game. My point is you didn't tackle well. You just did not seem prepared for that game. And the more I think about this and the more I've watched this Kyle Whittingham press conference now several times, this was just a calamity of errors. That to me, that's all this was. It was plain and simply a calamity of errors. And you look at the travel problem afterward, they didn't get home till Sunday night. You look at the fact that they essentially slept in an airport in Gainesville, eventually wound up spending a couple hours in a hotel thanks to the folks at the Gators.
right.
You just understand that this trip was a calamity of errors. And you wound up in a situation where you didn't tackle well, you didn't execute well, you didn't get enough production out of the wide receiver spot. I thought Cam Rising was fine. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. The interception, I think, was, because of the time of the game, it was a huge interception. It's not why they lost the game. The defense is squarely responsible for the loss of this football game. And I think your offense is going to be fine. And I love Brant Keithy. He can't be your go-to guy. He is not fast enough. He is not elite as an athlete enough to be the guy who can get himself open on every single snap. We need for the Utes to establish a go-to number one clear-cut wide receiver, and it probably needs to be Devon Vele. And I know you're probably tired of hearing me say that already. This Utah team is capable of winning the Pac-12. But what we just talked about is absolutely the truth. Who's the best team in the Pac-12 right now? Without question, it is USC. And if you want to beat USC October 8th in Salt Lake City, Devon Vele is going to have a much larger role in this offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that right now, today, USC, based on rankings, based on how these teams played, is obviously the best team in the Pac-12. I just don't think that that's in dispute, frankly. I mean, obviously, we know what happened to Oregon. We know what happened to Utah. And the rest of the conference, frankly, in my opinion, just doesn't matter outside of SC. I just think that that's the truth. I get that Arizona had a nice little outing, but at the end of the day, when we talk about who's going to win the Pac-12, those three schools are the ones we're talking about. So we'll see. I also think it's important to talk about the fact that Kyle Whittingham has a propensity to bounce back very quickly. So yeah. I would expect a bounce back performance.
In Southern Utah's an awfully nice bounce back.
But it's not. Well, it is. But I want to see better tackling technique. I like you should be able to suffocate that team. Like I'm talking about.
I want to see face masks in the chests of SUU jerseys.
Come on, man.
Like when San Diego State rolls into town in 2 weeks, you need to be just fully racked and ready to go.
Yeah,
without doubt. Let's see. Gabe Rasmussen wants to know, hey, Jake, what happened to the teacher chick you dated like 8 months ago?
Bro, you're way behind schedule, bro.
Eric C. has your back. He says, Eric C. says, don't bring her up, Gabe. LOL. Yeah, please don't bring her up. Please.
Yeah, why
Please.
are you bringing stuff up, man? You know?
Gabe, relax. Settle down. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Greg Hawkins says, I'm excited for Texas's annual loss to Kansas this November at Patrick Bourne. Patrick Bourne is drawing some ire in the comments this morning. Let's see. Patrick says, with you on the USC annoyance, just like Texas for the Big 12. Hey, man, USC's good. I mean, is there anybody who doubts the veracity of USC's Pac-12 dominance this year? Because I'm not going to be that guy who's going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they're shooting for the stars. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think that again, I'm not going to be the guy that gets ahead of anything. I think SC has to earn their way. I think SC has to prove they can beat somebody legitimate, and we'll get to see what it is. And once they beat a legitimate team, then we'll see. We can talk about that and talk about them winning the Pac-12. But we know what Utah is, and frankly, I was extremely disappointed in what Oregon is. But I can't confidently say what SC is yet because I want to see them against a legit team.
Yep. Eric C. says, can we talk about the pros? NFL season is now. What happened to San Diego State, Eric? Hello? Eric, hello?
Hey,
is this thing, wait, this thing must be broken somehow. Eric C. does not want to talk about San Diego State. They're not good. What happened, Eric? Are you now listen, and I'm all for talking about that sex machine, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert. That's my dude. Mm-hmm. I'm all about that. Mm-hmm. But while you're here right now, I mean, why are we not talking San Diego State? I mean, it's
having fun is the name of the game.
Yeah, Aztec Nation. We all about this. New stadium, beautiful facilities.
Hey, excuse me. It's Snapdragon Stadium.
Excuse me, Snapdragon Stadium. You know, in the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and we're running this thing. And
yeah,
you know,
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today.
Come on, man.
Somebody forgot to tell San Diego State they actually have to play football to win a football game, because they did not, and that was not good. You know. Anyway, I'll move on. Greg Hawkins says, I don't care about the NBA, but I'm still here to listen. Appreciate you, Greg Hawkins. Good to see you. By the way, I want to remind everybody that we are on the precipice of amazingness here, because we are sending 2 listeners to see BYU and Notre Dame at the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas. That event is a week from Saturday. How is that possible? Saturday, September 17th, we are going to watch BYU and Oregon, and at the half of that game, we are going to pull the winner, and it's all going to happen at Barbecue Pit Stop in Lehigh. Here's how you win a trip to see BYU in Las Vegas. 2 nights at the Palms Resort Casino Hotel, 2 tickets to the game, and a $250 Maverick gas card to get you there. All you got to do is go to any of the 5 Barbecue Pit Stop locations in Utah: Layton, Lehigh, Logan, St. George, and, of course, our good friends in Murray. Make sure you walk in. There's a box on the counter with our beautiful faces all up in it. Fill out the little slip, drop it in the box, and you are entered to win a trip for 2 to the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas. Make sure you go in there and you tell them, hey, man, heard about you on the Monty Show. Where is it? And I have again, I've confirmed through another listener.
Excuse me, a source?
A source close to the Barbecue Pit Stop program.
And your feeling is?
And my feeling is, based on what barbecue industry sources tell me, is that certain Barbecue Pit Stop locations, in fact, do carry the Italian Chop House seasoning.
Hey, guys.
Which I'm telling you is the best one out there. But no matter your flavor, no matter what you want super spicy, you want real tame, Barbecue Pit Stop not only has all of your spices, rubs, and sauces, they've also got the Traeger. You are an Ironwood 885 guy.
Yes.
Okay? Now, even though the other day, Jake, and I forgot to tell this story, and we probably should tell this story because I think it's an important one.
It is, yeah.
Jake humiliated me.
What?
Here in Hawaii. We were surrounded by a large gathering of friends and family for Mrs. Monty's 50th birthday party.
Right.
And we were all grubbing down, and we were men. Right. We were sweaty without shirts on.
I'm for real.
Slapping the chest like we're good after it.
I'm for real.
And there was a whole bowl of wings. I walked over there, and I picked out every drum.
Y'all feel me?
I used my hands because I'm a man, and that's what I do. I share my DNA with others.
Bro,
So I
what are you
dug
talking
into that
about, man?
bowl of wings, and I pulled out drum after drum after drum, and I must have had 2 or 3 drums on my plate at that point. And they were amazing. And I go over, I take my plate, and there's no vegetables on this plate. There is only drums.
Right.
Only drums. Take my plate. I walk over to my seat. I sit down, and I just start gnashing, just destroying, just eating that dead chicken. And it was good. It was good. And then along comes Jake. Mm-hmm. And this hurts me to say this out loud. And I'm not telling you to jump on board and criticize Jake or, tell him what a fool he is. But Jake walked over with a plate of like 20 wings, and I was impressed until he put the wing down on the plate on the table, and I realized it was all flats.
No.
And then all the other men in the room realized it was all flats.
I'm sorry if you're offended by that.
And all of a sudden, we were sitting in an empty room because nobody wanted to be associated with a man who would eat flats when there was a whole bowl of drums. Jake, I don't know. Maybe that teacher was on to something when you dumped her by text.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I did everything that I could do.
He broke up with you over text message?
Yes.
This whole
Yes,
soliloquy
I
was
did.
about Jake eating flats.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instead of drums. Nobody does that. I want you to understand, nobody eats flats.
Okay, first of all,
nobody.
the whole story is fabricated.
3/4 of this is inaccurate.
Okay,
Yeah.
no.
Yes. You never got up. I actually was the one who got up.
That's not the point.
And went and got all the wings. And it was the bowl actually was mostly flats and like 4 drums. Now me being the nice guy that I am, being considerate and warm and big-hearted and everything that you would want in a person. Yeah, for me, thank you. I got all the drums I could for you, and ultimately, you got it done.
Okay, first of all, I got my own drums.
No, you didn't.
Second of all, I took the drums off your plate that you were bringing over to me. And anyway,
I'm a man.
Nobody. Tanner Plummer says, "Hey Jake, could we get the Lisa Wilson Cougar growl drop?"
Yeah, I played it. I played it.
Yeah, but nobody does flats. Nobody does flats.
Yeah,
They
come
don't. Renee Roca says flats are for real men. Eat them in a single bite like an animal.
Yes, yes.
Drums are for children who don't know how to eat wings. Tanner says, "Good for you, Jake. Keep being you no matter what." Exactly right. Yes. I mean, no. Greg Hawkins says flats plus blue cheese equal the best. Drums plus ranch are for casual. Greg, stop it.
You're casual.
Stop it. Eric C says, I like chicken nuggets too. Gabe.
Chicken nuggies.
Sterling Tracy says, bro, flats are bomb. Hold your ground. No, they're not. I'm telling you right now. Listen. I am begging you. Okay, and I don't know how much more I can put my soul into this.
Seems like a great opportunity to slurp and splash.
If you walk up to me with a plate of flats when there are drums available to you, I'm punching you in the face. Like
I'm gonna get
it's gonna happen. You can't choose a flat over a drum.
What now? Let me tell you what now.
What are we talking about?
I think that
My God.
that this event that we're gonna do a week from this Saturday on the 17th is going to be a proving ground for wings versus flats because we're going to have a smoker and it's going to be great.
No. All right, let's ask Harris LaChance. He is a large human being who I believe will have an opinion on this. Harris, welcome to the show, and we must ask you now.
Yeah.
And also, and your manhood's on the line here, dude.
Okay.
Drums or flats when you eat wings?
You're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna say flats.
What? How does this
better,
happen?
dude?
No, they're not.
The middle, man. Oh my word, bro! And you dip it in ranch, and just oh my goodness, man.
Wait, so ranch or blue cheese?
Oh, ranch always. I'm a ranch guy.
Okay, so I'll give you a 50-50 split
Give me
then.
a 50-50 then, because. But listen, yeah, if you don't have ranch, I'm not eating them though.
Yeah, I'm not.
Blue cheese, get out of here, dude.
I'm telling you, the only people on this show who like blue cheese are Utah fans. Greg Hawkins, who is a diehard Utah fan, loves him some blue cheese, and I don't really, frankly, I don't understand it very well at all. But having said that, Harris LaChance, welcome to the show. How was the humidity in Tampa over the weekend?
Oh my word, I think it was like 99%, almost 100. We were almost swimming down there. So, and we wore the all whites, so it turned into a wet T-shirt contest pretty fast.
That's amazing. For an offensive lineman, I'm sure you were thrilled about that.
Yeah, we were excited.
But one of the things I do want to ask you about is the uniforms, because everybody's excited about the Royal helmets, and Baylor's coming to town, and you guys are going to have on the absolute smoking fits this weekend. How much do you guys talk about your uniforms before games? Like, are you hyped over this?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it's not like a game changer. And we try and look as cool as we can. I'd like to be, I've self-proclaimed myself as, one of the most swaggiest O-linemen.
Okay.
But, with the jerseys and stuff, it's cool, man. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, we're wearing all blue this week. That should be cool. And
nice.
then that's about that.
Yeah. But
that's about
see,
as far as it goes.
I actually think with Nike, you guys get quite a bit of swag, like the Sailor Cougar logo with the hat. Well, everybody gets hyped over that. But you must now listen. I'm a big dude. I'm an all black guy. I wear black all the time. It's just my color. You must have a favorite uniform color.
Yeah. That's a good question. You're
thinking about it.
I am thinking about it because I've gone back and forth. I mean, we talk about it. I really like the all white with the royal numbers and stuff. That's really cool. But I also love, and this is going to sound dumb, but I also love the classic, just the white pants with the navy, because that's kind of what I grew up watching BYU in, right?
Yes.
And that's the classic, like, that's the era. So when we wear that, I'm like, we're classic BYU here. I'm a fan of switching it up. The royal's cool. Everybody loves the royal, but it's cool. I'm like, whatever we wear is cool. So
nice. Harris LaChance joins the show. Thanks to our good friends at Papa Murphy's. Generally every Wednesday, and usually it's a little earlier, but I don't know if you noticed, Harris, we're in Hawaii right now, where it is humid like crazy. I don't think I've ever sweated this much. And I'm a Maui guy more than a Kona guy, but I'm telling you now, the humidity here is crazy. So let me ask you about the weather. Let me ask you about the game. I mean, you guys dominated, and we're going to talk about how good the offensive line was in a minute, but you guys dominated. Did the weather have any impact on you guys at all? Was there any cramping issues? Like, how did you feel physically?
No, they took good care of us. That whole week we were hydrating really good and drinking a lot of Pedialyte. Really, we've got a great nutrition guy here who helps us stay on the ball and kind of prepared us for the humidity and for the heat. We got lucky because the sun wasn't out when we were playing because of the lightning delays and all that stuff. But for the most part, it was good. I actually like the humidity. I think it's good for your skin, man. It's dry over here, man, in Utah.
Were you exfoliating? So during the delay, you guys were doing facials and exfoliating,
exactly.
Right?
I was like, I'm loving this, dude. Seriously. I was like, let's stay here, man. I mean, freak, dude. It feels good out here, man. So I was loving it, man. We were sweating, but it was a good time.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's one of those things where so much of this game is mental. And I think if you tell yourself, oh, man, I'm worried about cramps or it's really going to be humid, I think it plays that mental game. But the thing that I thought really stood out is there was some big guy playing right guard for you guys that absolutely looked fantastic. What was that like for you? You're inside at guard, and it was very clear to me you guys got whatever you wanted off that right side, especially in the running game, protection-wise. I thought you guys looked really good. How did it feel at right guard, and how do you feel like you guys played over there?
I think we played good. There's always things to improve on, little things to tune up, especially with the first game. But it was a good win. Playing right guard's fun. I'm a big guy to be down in a 3-point stance, but I've gotten used to it now, and we're rolling, man. So it was really fun. Great to get that win. Now I feel like that was ages ago, man. I'm excited for this game coming up, man, for real.
Well, it's a big one, and I would imagine with Baylor in town this weekend, I would imagine that you guys. How do you feel about that game last year? When I say to you, hey, look back on Baylor last year, is it still meaningful to you? I mean, obviously that was a big game on the schedule last year. It didn't end the way you guys wanted to. Are you guys looking at that tape at all? Are you thinking about that game? Like, what does last year's game mean to you?
Yeah, no, it means a lot. I mean, also, they have a lot of returning starters as well, so it's good to learn. For me personally, too, I mean, I didn't get to play in that game. I got hurt right before that game, and so I didn't even get to play. And it was tough because, obviously that is against, two of our old coaches, so we know them really well. But at the same time, it's just, we're playing against their defense, not their offense, you know what I mean? So it'll be cool to see those guys afterwards. But right now, it's just focusing in and saying, what can we do to be better? And well, I think we're a better team than we were last year, and I think it's going to show. So it should be really fun. I'm excited. It's going to be a great game, and it's a great opponent, right? You respect your opponent, and you're excited to kind of go against them to see how it's all going to play out, man.
Yeah, and I also think that one of the things that matters, and I think it matters a lot, is that Grimes is there and that you guys have that relationship with him. And I know you're going up against their defense, but there's an emotional tie there. I mean, especially for an offensive lineman like you, I mean, you know the impact that those guys had on your program. So I think it's perfectly natural for that. But having said that, hey, by the way, you guys really need this win. This is a huge game for the program right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, it's a huge game, man.
So, and I say that, and here's why I asked that. Do you guys pay attention to polling at all? Now, last week you caused some waves on the show when you said, we don't listen to the headlines and we tune that stuff out. You guys are 21st in the AP poll. How is that possible? You dominated last week. Do you guys pay attention to that stuff at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we see it. I'm not, it's not like we're just completely blind to it. I mean, no, but at the same time, people are going to rank us what we rank. Exactly. What I'm gonna say the same thing. Is we're out here, man. Yeah, okay, we're 21, whatever, dude. Let's go out and keep showing them what we can do. You know what I mean? Keep grinding.
Yep.
Put our heads down and grind through this, man, and really bring it to them. So that's all we're thinking about, man.
Sure.
And anything, it gives us some fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? When we don't get recognized for one thing or here, we're like, well, let's freaking just keep at it, man. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and I think as we visit with Harris LaChance, thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza here on the Monty Show, I think one of the things that is so evidently different about this team is when you guys are healthy, I don't think there's any doubt you can accomplish all of the goals that you want. You talked about the time you missed last year. I think you're a critical part of that offensive line. The performance that we saw out of Christopher Brooks and Pini Katoa, I thought was really I was excited watching you guys run the football. What does it mean to your offense when you guys can control the line of scrimmage like that and so effectively run the football?
It's just awesome, man. It's exactly what we work for day in and day out, right? To make those big plays and to block like that for those guys and to get those guys some yards, get those guys in the spotlight. That's our goal. So it's awesome, man. It feels so good.
Well, and I thought the sweep was really an effective play for you, obviously right out of the gate. You get a long touchdown there on the outside from Nakua. I thought you guys really controlled not only at the point of attack, but I thought you really pushed USF in the direction that you wanted them to go to make those plays possible. So how important was it for you guys to come out and get that big play right out of the box? But then it felt like, Harris, every single drive, you guys had what you wanted. How much momentum could you feel in the moment of that game?
Oh, yeah. The scoring on the first play was huge. It was fun. And, that's what we like to do. We like to have fun. And you're having fun when you're kicking butt and taking names. And that's the name of the game. So it's like when you have momentum like that, you're going to keep rolling. This week I think it's going to be a little bit more of a grinder. This is a better team.
Yeah.
But we want the same sort of momentum. You know what I mean? So you just have to keep in and keep grinding, bro.
Well, and the bigger question is, like, Puka running 75 yards is pretty easy for him. I mean, I think he was running 20 miles an hour. Do the offensive linemen run down the field to the end zone, or do you wait for the wide receiver group to come back to the sideline to celebrate?
Yeah, I think on the first play, yeah, you're amped up. You're running down there. After about a couple touchdowns later, you're like, all right, I'm on field goal, so I'm gonna just hang back loose a little bit, wait for the field goal team.
Oh, did we lose him?
And sorry, and
no, there he is.
And wait for the field goal team to come out, and I'll just wait there.
That's amazing.
You know, yeah, that's all I can do.
All right, so before we cut you loose here, as we visit with Harris LaChance, let me ask you real quick, about what are the things you personally are working on? Obviously, we as laymen who watch you on TV and we watch the way you play and we grade you from our perspective. I mean, it looked like you guys played pretty well. Is there a lot for you guys to clean up? Like when you look at the O-line, how would you grade your performance?
Yeah, so we all graded pretty well. Little things is like, okay, you could take a better step here. You could hang on to this guy longer here and pass pro. That's basically what I'm talking about. Things like tuning it up and making it more crisp and clean and even more so maybe aggressive in ways we wanted to be here instead of, he's playing weird. Little things like that. I think for me, it's been fun to learn guard. It's been a little bit different. You have a little bit different angles and pass settings, a lot different from tackle. But I think this summer I had the opportunity to go down to Texas and with Duke Manyweather and go to the O-Line Masterminds.
Nice.
Deal there and worked really close with guys like Lane Johnson and guys like that. And it was really fun to learn and to talk to all these NFL guys about O-line and how they have perfected their craft. And that's really what this position's about is perfecting your crafts and getting better at it each week and understanding if you made a mistake, how to fix it, how to correct it, how to understand the scheme better, footwork better, head placement, hands, things like that. That's huge. And it's a constant thing you're trying to get better at. So
was the plan all along for you to be inside at guard? I mean, because the technique, as you just talked about, I mean, from hip flexibility to, how you have to train your body, was that the plan all along? Did you know that all summer?
Yeah. So it was, we have a lot of good guys, but we have probably top 7 guys that are really good in this room. So you've seen some rotations. I was kind of switching back and forth from guard into tackle. And then in fall camp, we started kind of just narrowing things down, and they liked me at guard, wanted to see how we were, and kind of just rolling with it. If I went back out to tackle, it'd be cool. Keep me a guard, it'd be cool. It's like that. And that's what's great about this room too, is that we can all play pretty versatile. We're all pretty old and know how to, mature and know how to play where we need to. So it works out.
Do you think about how that impacts your NFL chances or your NFL projection when between guard and tackle? I mean, tackles make probably a hell of a lot more money than guards do, but you looked, I got to be honest with you, I've covered offensive line for a long time in college and in the NFL. You looked really comfortable. I mean, I felt like physically, the thing I was looking at you on the field was, how are you flexibility-wise? How are you mobility-wise? How are you at getting to the second level, which is a really important trait in a guard? And it looked like you handled that really well. I mean, are you thinking about those things going forward and how that impacts you as a pro prospect?
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's cool. I think I would like to think it's probably better that I can play both. I put that on film out there. But at the same time, man, like I said, man, you got to keep that mentality of you're out here to have fun and to play wherever the team needs you and to win. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to play center, then I'll freaking play center and let's go win, man. Like, that's what we want to do. So that's how I feel. And yeah, it's exciting. It's fun.
Okay, so last question is, first road game as a dad. So you're out late, you get home. What was that whole experience like, being away from your wife and being away from your young one? Like, how was that for you as a new dad?
Well, I mean, all fall camp I've been away all day long, so I've only seen him at nighttime anyway. I miss my son when I'm on the road. My wife sends me videos of him crawling around, and he's getting strong now. He can lift himself up on things, so it's even more. We're like, we got to watch this kid, man, because he's getting freaking strong already, man. Like, this kid's swinging around. But
so are you guys? Wait a minute. Are you guys much more of a 1 or 2 kid thing, or are you guys trying to like produce an entire offensive line? Like, how many kids are we projecting out to here, Harris?
See, this is the bad questions. You can't ask me these questions, man. I'm like, I wonder if my wife sees this video, bro. I'm like, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
I'm telling you, two is fine. But I'm in Kona with a family house where like there are people here who have like 3 kids, and you get from 2 to 3, it's impossible because you only have 2 hands. I'm telling you got to consider these little things, man. So I won't put you on the spot with that, but I'm much more in. This is my only one. Jake's the only one that I have. I'm telling you, that was my route. Don't field an offensive line room. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, for real. The food bill alone, man.
Right? You're welcome. Free advice from Uncle Monty to Harris LaChance. Appreciate you. Stay healthy, man. Great watching you play, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, brother.
There you go. You bet. That's Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman. Really good stuff there. Let's come back in and recap that, of course, as he is every week. Harris LaChance, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with the triple pet pizza for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Harris LaChance on the show there, and I think one of the things that was so interesting about that conversation is when he talks about the technique and how long he's known about being an offensive lineman or being a guard instead of a tackle. I think that's a really significant positional change, Jake, in that when you look at the technique that is required there and you look at the work that's required to get that technique down, that's a pretty impressive swap.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people undervalue, the requirements of playing guard versus tackle and what you're asked to do. And it is definitely a completely different skill set, no doubt.
By the way, the 2 kids versus 3 kid thing, that's legitimate.
Oh, absolutely.
That's legit.
Yeah, I think the whole concept around you only have 2 hands is real.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I know so many people that have 2 kids that thrive and love it. Man, you get to 3, 4, 5 kids. One of my neighbors.
Fuck one, marry one, kill one.
Man,
go.
One of our neighbors has 5 kids, and the funny thing is about those 2 folks is they always look tired. And their kids are like, I think their oldest kid is only like 8 years old.
Right.
So like she was having children so mom's worn out. They're all like young kids. They've got like 2 toddler age kids. Like, I don't know how you do it.
This is a code 10 abort.
I mean, I just don't know how you do it. So, and if you're a football player like Harris and you got to leave and your wife's, I don't know how, being a mom is absolutely,
Yep.
Jeremy Bolton has decided to return to the program. He says, ask Harris if he likes Alex Caruso.
Well, you think you can just show up once a week and you get to ask questions
and you
now,
start
Jeremy?
submitting questions?
What is this?
To the Hall of Fame lineman? Are you kidding me?
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
By the way, a couple other points out of that conversation with Harris LaChance. Did anybody notice that Harris talked about how important this game is, and last year's game is of consequence and really matters? And they're like, this is a big game. You can tell that Harris LaChance and BYU are looking forward to Saturday in Provo. They've got revenge on their mind. And I think, again, and the one question I didn't get to ask him was, what's the difference between scoring 60 and 50 points? But they had a pretty nice win on Saturday to rebound, to come back home to play Baylor coming out of that kind of game.
Right.
I mean, you got to feel like you're on top of the world. I would expect BYU to come out ready to throw hands Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect nothing less than full aggression. I think that BYU, obviously has a point to prove, and it is a get-back game. I think that you're looking to, settle the score, if you will. So, I think that this game is their first game of true consequence, with all due respect to, USF. Like, I think Baylor is obviously a Big 12 opponent. Like, obviously you lost to them last year. Like, there's a lot to play for here, and that's why I think they would be fired up coming into this game.
Lots of questions about your girlfriend. Eric C. Wait, did Jake take his girlfriend on the trip? Too soon for trips like that together, man. You're microwaving a relationship.
Nah.
Eric? Yes, she's on the trip. Yes, she's in the microwave. She sleeps in the microwave, actually. You have to take her out of the microwave to make a Hot Pocket, trust me. And anyway, the point is, the relationship's going quite well.
Yeah, it's quite fine, actually.
You guys rented, and here's the biggest scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Jake rented a Honda.
Mm-hmm.
A Subaru owner, I'm going to rent a Honda. Hey,
Yeah.
Dad, I'm getting in the Honda now. He's
Yeah.
got a
Hey,
little
guys.
It's
Civic.
an HRV, please.
He's got this little Civic hatchback, like stick shift. The guy who he rented it from on Turo only had 3 wheels on it, so Jake had to go and take a wheel off of somebody else's F-150
Mommy,
Raptor.
please take me home.
So now the car's leaning, and it's got one of those exhaust cans on it that pops every time you open the door. And Jake just loves
It is
when
very powerful.
the exhaust pops, and By the way, I thought the Bondo on the front quarter was a nice little touch by that guy.
There's no Bondo on the front quarter, just so you know.
What?
No Bondo.
Was I looking at the wrong Honda Civic?
I think you were, yeah.
Don't be rude.
Yeah, I think you were, actually. I mean, even for me, I'm impressed I was able to bring myself to rent a Honda. You know what I mean?
I'm not impressed. I am not
It's
impressed.
a fun little car. It is what it is.
A couple more. By the way, how soon is too soon to take your girlfriend on a trip? Like, how long have you guys been together?
Like 7-8 months now. I don't think that's too soon.
No, wait. You don't know how long you guys have been together.
Yeah, it's something like that. I can go back and do the research. I mean, what is it? December's a year, so
You don't know.
It's like 9 months.
Bro,
I got a lot of stuff up in this brain, man. I don't need to know all
Flat
this.
eater.
Bro.
Flat eater does not know how long. I've been married for 37 years. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. I got those numbers wrong. It feels like 37 years.
It's sort of a natural reflex.
What? Okay. I've been married for 24 years. Of the 24 most stellar years of my life. Is that too soon to take my wife on a vacation? It's not. Trust me, it's not. So, but by the way, funny story. You guys, so they went and did a manta ray snorkel last night.
Which was amazing, by the way.
And then you come back home and you guys don't say, hey, everybody, we're home. Right? We're in a group house and stuff. Hey, everybody, we're home.
Yeah, mainly because the main door is locked on the house, so we had to go to Uzbekistan and back to get in.
Not my problem. You can text me.
Well, you didn't say hi when you got home.
How would I know this? So you came home and you guys walked in and you went right into your bedroom. So naturally, everybody's like, oh, time to procreate. I was like, yeah, she must be ovulating. Everybody laughed.
Take me outside. How about that?
That was the best part. Going on vacation with your family is challenging. Let's see. Ruff's official says, how do you feel about winning a game against a no-name school? Wait, they're called the University of South Florida Bulls. What do you mean no-name?
Why don't you illuminate me?
They have a name. Tanner says, LOL, Ruff's official, and I thought I asked dumb questions. Okay. Lopes fan Gabe says, the conversation isn't how soon is too soon to take a trip with your girlfriend. What you need to ask is, how soon is too soon to drop a bag on a first-class ticket to Hawaii for your brand-new girlfriend?
Excellent point, Gabe.
Which is
That's
what you
really
did
well
here.
said. Really well said, bro.
So how soon is too soon to buy your girlfriend a first-class airline ticket?
It depends how much faith you have, how much confidence you have. I mean, probably... Oh man, that's a tough question, bro. I mean, I think most people would say inside of 6 months, but you know me. I came through in the clutch. I watched my tape. I came prepared for the conversation, and we executed, and yeah, everything's fine.
By executed, you mean Actually,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a given.
Riley O'Brien says, Jake, you don't deserve this assault today.
Well,
he eats flats. He deserves an assault every day.
No.
How about Harris LaChance taking flats over drums?
Hell yeah, bro. Harris
What?
is my guy.
Slander.
It's my guy.
Slander. Holabilly says, LOL, I doubt that. I doubt that. Renee Roca says, I went with my wife 12 years now to Europe after 6 months. It's a good test of a relationship.
It is.
It is. How are we? How is the relationship going? Are you ring shopping yet?
No.
Are you?
Next question.
So you're still in the hey, it's sweetest day, let's go to dinner thing?
No. I mean, there's a middle ground.
No.
Idiot.
So you don't celebrate sweetest day?
No.
Which isn't really a holiday. It's a made-up holiday.
No, it's
you
not.
know. I'm just saying.
Right.
Let's see. Talking with Raphael podcast on NPR. Says, I traded my Subi for a TRD off-road Tacoma.
No. Bro. Why are
Okay.
you paying all that extra bread when you can just get the parts aftermarket?
Lopes Fan Gabe says, SLC quote-unquote supercars rolling in a Honda. Blasphemy.
Hey, you know what? I didn't want some beater minivan. I didn't want to buy a Subaru because I drive a Subaru every day, and I didn't also want a Tahoe. So Honda was all that was left, all right?
And Morris says, raised 6 by myself the last 11 years. Keep it at 2. 1, I'm tired is real, and 2, mom's job much harder than any job. Oh, being a mom is a full-time job.
No doubt.
There is no doubt. John Jackson says, favorite thing you've eaten this week? Oh, that's easy. And I swear, if you make a girlfriend reference, the best thing I've eaten this week, my wife and I, with Jake and his
Your wife.
See,
I'm not trying to be cryptic.
anyway, Mrs. Monty and I went to a farmer's market. At this farmer's market, there was a food truck. On the food truck, they had buns with purple sweet potato inside.
Not
were
to
like
be
these-
blue. Not to be confused with blue sweet potato.
Is that a blue waffle reference?
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Hey,
Anyway,
guys.
grow up. Man. Anyway, we had steamed buns with purple sweet potato inside. Amazing. To die for. Absolutely to die for. They were absolutely amazing. Boyd Lake says Tacoma's rule. I used to have a Tacoma.
Tacomas are actually great trucks,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
it's just unfortunate Toyota's the one who makes them.
Yeah.
Tanner says PB&J sandwich. Thanks for asking, John Jackson. Wow. Okay. Kurt Meyer says, Eric, Turks and Caicos is fantastic snorkeling as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Snorkeling in Hawaii is amazing.
It is.
It's absolutely amazing. Greg Hawkins says, Jake firing back.
Yeah.
Eric C. says, chicken burritos.
And he will every single time.
I'm about it.
Have you had a chicken burrito
I
this
have
week?
not had a chicken burrito this week. No, I have
I
not.
had some decent sushi last night in Kona.
Maui. Okay.
Yeah, ask
Maui,
me what's great on Maui. to
We
eat.
got to go to Maui because we got to go to Mama's Fish House.
Yeah.
Like, there's a ton of good spots
Sansai
on Maui.
Sushi is on Maui. By the way, Mrs. Monty's breakfast yesterday was really good. She made
Bomb.com.
like an egg black bean pico tostada.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. Like we haven't had like a knockout.
I mean, the
dynamite
wedding was
meal.
catered. The mac salad at the wedding was bomb.
Oh, the mac salad was
like,
amazing. You know what I was
know.
disappointed in? I paid like $1 million for cupcakes. One, I didn't have one, and nobody was like, "Oh man, these are amazing." Like they were supposed to be these world, yeah, they were supposed to be these world famous cupcakes, and they were like, eh. And then they all melted and died. It was terrible.
What a loser!
So I feel like I play for BYU because it is incredibly humid here.
Yeah, it is.
It is incredibly.
I'm tired of sweating
Incredibly
constantly.
humid here. Let's see. Greg Hawkins says, Monty, I've seen the sushi you eat. It's a mayonnaise rice ball covered with avocado. There's no fish whatsoever. This is untrue, Greg. Do not slander thyself. That would mean my favorite sushi is anything panko. I had a panko crusted Philly roll last night that was very good. Very, very good. But you know what the thing I've noticed is, like, I don't like junk food anymore.
Right.
We did have Jack the other day. For the first time in like 18 months, we had Jack in the box. And I got to tell you.
Dude.
I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed. The French fries were cooked in like 3-day-old oil.
Yeah, the oil was too old, so the French fries didn't come out nice and crispy. They were clearly a bit burnt because the oil was not great, so that was disappointing.
Yep, I totally agree, which is why when you want really good food, you go to Papa Murphy's Pizza, who presents football at 50. Use promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your order of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. PapaMurphys.com. Download their app. It's super easy. So the debate, I guess, is, do you put pineapple on pizza? I do. Now, we did have pizza here. I don't think it had.
Yes, on the day before
when
the wedding.
we arrived, the bride and groom provided everybody pizza as a nighttime meal. It was okay. But I got to tell you, I'm spoiled now. Papa Murphy's has ruined delivery pizza. Like, it's ruined it.
Yeah, I don't do delivery pizza anymore, bro.
No, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
Papa Murphy's on a Traeger is the way to go. Absolutely. So when we talk about great food that we've had here, I realize now that things are very different. Things are very, very different. I do not eat food the way that I used to eat food.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like, getting the delivery stuff, like, you pay more, like, it's a hassle.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It is a hassle.
Like I would just rather plan it, because the thing is, Papa Murphy's has an app, so if you know that 3 hours before you're going to want to eat that pizza, if you can just go in the app, order it up, and then they'll have it literally on the rack right when you walk in the door.
Yeah,
you can pick it up and
you
go.
pay through the app. You walk in the door. They have all of their orders sitting there.
And you're obviously going to use our promo code Monty25
to get 25% off your order. It's amazing. At Papa Murphy's Pizza, PapaMurphys.com, or again, take our word for it. Download the app. It's super easy. What we usually do on Fridays is we usually smoke 2 Papa Murphy's pizzas. And we'll order it at like 10 in the morning. And depending on what we're doing, all we have to do is be there right around 5 o'clock, and the pizza's sitting on the rack. Take it home, 25, 30 minutes later, done.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
It's amazing. Papa Murphy's brings you football at 50. They are proudly presenting Harris LaChance every week on the show. So we really appreciate the support that we get from Papa Murphy's. And again, as the weeks go on, you're going to see we're almost sold out, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And a lot of people are asking us to advertise. A lot of people ask us to advertise. And you're going to see that we will add a new advertiser, a new partner here or there. But we're pretty well close to max right now. So
and we have, imminent things in the work that are coming very soon. So, just give us a couple weeks. What's today's date?
Today's date
is the 7th.
Is the 7th.
Yeah, about 2 weeks. We're about 2 weeks away.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of major announcements coming here in the next few weeks. So
yes,
make sure you stick around for that. The Monty Show, though, is presented by the Advocates, Utah Injury Attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com. Biggest stories in sports this morning here on the show, without question. I think this AP disrespect factor for BYU, all the things that go into the AP poll, is it disrespectful that we find BYU at number 21, only up 4 spots? Is it disrespectful that we find Utah all the way down to 13? I don't know how much credence I'm willing to put into the AP poll going forward, because I think it is laughable that BYU steamrolls USF heading into Baylor. If BYU beats Baylor, if it's even by a single point, you have to knock them up into the low to mid teens.
Why are we so willing to knock teams down when they lose? Like, why are we so willing to knock teams down when they lose week 1, but then when teams win, we don't really give them, that same level of respect, like an equal level of respect for the disrespect that they would get for losing? That's what. Excuse me, I'm dying over here. That's what I'm curious about. Like, we always want to sit here and say, oh, Alabama's the number 1 team in the country and they're the best and everything's kosher. And then, when BYU does what they do, we don't want to be like, well, they should be top 20. It's just unjust, and that's what I struggle with.
Yeah, and the hard thing for me, I was asked by a bunch of people, I'll go with Drew of the Year on Twitter, Drew version 4.1, Drew of the Year. He said, I wonder if these voters are punishing BYU for the volleyball quote-unquote incident. The funny thing is, Mrs. Monty said the exact same thing. And I wonder if this perception problem that BYU very clearly is dealing with if this perception problem that BYU is dealing with is impacting their viability to some AP voters. Because it is shocking how many ballots they were left off of. And I tweeted
And as you can see, I'm going through some shit right now.
Well, I tweeted the grid of all the votes, and it is shocking to me that BYU was left off of so many. Do you believe that BYU is dealing with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that publicly, no one's going to talk about the fact that they're taking that into consideration, right? Like, no AP voter is going to come out and be like, well, the Duke incident is playing into my voting decisions. Nobody's saying that, right? But I think it does play into it. I think it's impossible for it not to play into it because, again, it's very simple. When you think about BYU right now, what do you think about? You're not thinking about Jaren Hall. You're not thinking about Puka, right? You're not thinking about Chris Brooks, right? You're not thinking about Harris LaChance. You're thinking about that Duke volleyball player and what happened in the Rock the other night and this, this woman
and you
leaving
don't know what didn't
happen. Leaving BYU TV and like all these different things. And yeah, you don't know what happened. And that's kind of why I think it's just not in doubt. It's literally impossible for the AP voters not to be considering what happened with the tweeter said, the quote-unquote Duke volleyball incident. I think it's the Duke thing, the BYU TV thing. Like, there are several things, but the problem is that it would be
so
one
you're
thing.
You're buying on this.
Oh, I'm absolutely buying on it. Yeah,
you are?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
I think, and really, I think it's even deeper than that, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that's just the tipping point. I think when we start to look at, if you're someone who's voting in the AP right now and you're looking up and down this list and, obviously once you get past the first AP poll of the year and you're like doing the second one after week 1, now you have something to go off of. And I truly believe that it's not just that BYU's dealing with these issues. The fact is that BYU being an independent and then also being a religious institution, I also think that plays a factor. I think BYU, frankly, is going to get more credit when they're in the Big 12.
But at what point do we stop? This BYU volleyball incident is becoming a real problem because, again, here we are weeks later, and there's still no evidence that this happened. There is zero evidence that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, I'm not here to have the discussion of she made it up, she's a lie, whatever. It didn't happen until there's evidence it did. There's an overwhelming avalanche of evidence that nothing that BYU was accused of or fans were accused of happened. Nothing.
But nobody cares about that, right?
Right.
That's the problem.
But if I'm BYU, I there's nothing I can do about that. So, again, I think you just have to go out every week and prove your point. I actually think this BYU I don't know. How many of these AP voters know about this?
Oh, I think all of them.
You think all of them know about it?
I think the day that Duke thing happened, it was all over ESPN, CNN had it. I
hope that's not the case.
Well, the only reason I say that I have to assume that all of them know about it is because how do you not know about it? It was nationally covered. We literally had a conversation on the show about the fact that national media did more coverage on the BYU Duke thing than like the Tribune or Deseret or any of the local media outlets, and that's why I say I just think it's impossible for these AP voters not to have known about it. And frankly, I kind of disagree about BYU can't do anything about it. In fact, I think BYU isn't doing enough from a PR like controlling the news cycle narrative perspective. Like I think, as I've been saying, I think you have to roll out some sort of a program that puts you in the light of being proactive about preventing racial slurs, racial inequalities, like just hey, this happened and we understand that, but we're moving on from it, and here's how we're moving on from it. That's what I think I'm waiting for from BYU.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more with Jeremy Bolton on this. He says, you mean the incident that didn't actually happen? I believe the player believed what she heard, but that is actually wasn't ever said. I believe the player believed what she heard, but that it actually wasn't ever said. See, that's where I'm at on it. I'm not in a place where I'm ready to call this woman a liar.
But here's the thing. And that might be true, and I don't even disagree with you, Jeremy, but here's the problem. It doesn't matter if it happened or it didn't happen. There's nothing that says one way or the other what actually happened. So what that means is BYU is automatically BYU is automatically going to be put into a negative light of some variety. I'm not saying that people are rolling out in the media regularly now saying that BYU's a racist institution, or like people aren't going to extremes, but I definitely think people have questions. I definitely think that people wonder, okay, well, how did this affect the football program? Well, clearly they went out and beat USF, so clearly they're in a good spot. But as this continues, what's going to happen when another update comes? Like, I just can't believe that people, specifically because we're talking about the AP voters right now and how impacted by this story they are. It matters, man. I'm telling you, BYU does not get the benefit of the doubt. If this would have happened in Tuscaloosa for Alabama, this would be a non-story. It wouldn't even matter.
Whoa.
It would not matter, bro.
You think?
Yes, I think. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I think our culture – I don't know. What I would say is I think that BYU has an overwhelming amount of evidence that it didn't happen. But as they say, if a wild bear drops DNA in the woods and nobody's there to see it or smell it, did it really happen?
No, I guess not.
I don't think anybody cares what actually happened. I think they care what they believe happened.
Exactly.
And I think BYU, this is why we asked for over a week and a half, 2 weeks now, hey, does BYU have a perception problem? The perception is that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a racist institution.
Come on, man.
That Brigham Young was a racist. That, like all of this, it goes back to all the stereotypes about the Mormons, whether it's polygamy, magic underwear, caffeine, like whatever you want to point to. Like I saw this story about the high school football team in the FLDS territory, and how they're all cousins, and it's like, okay, cool, man. Like at some point, and maybe we don't, but at some point we have to start looking at the toll that some of this garbage takes on humans. And I think when you look at the guys that are on this BYU football team now, I do think that there is a possibility that Duke volleyball incident is costing these guys something more of a ranking. Because just to say, if you're an AP voter and you left BYU football off your top 25 this week, you're either an idiot or you just don't know anything about college football.
That's right, T.
Or you think that BYU is a racist institution.
Correct.
Because I just don't see that. There's not a soul on earth who covers college football every single week that can look at BYU. Even the most ardent BYU hater, Utah fan, find them. You ask them, is BYU one of the 25 best teams in the country? I don't see how they can say no on a logical basis.
I completely agree.
I don't.
Completely agree.
I really don't. Let's see. Boyd Lake says there won't be any corrections or apologies either. No, there won't. No, there won't.
Nope.
Jeremy Bolton says you got to give BYU students more credit. There would have been a few people who would have done something. Totally agree. He also says, I just can't believe among all those BYU students that were there would just sit there and let one person keep saying that over and over again. And the other thing is, if you look at some of the tape that's been released, you don't even see people like, whoa, like turning their head like, hey, dude.
And that's why I say, that's why I say, I want to be really clear about like my feelings on this. I'm not disagreeing with the take that, hey, it probably didn't happen. I don't disagree with that. There's nothing on tape that suggests it did happen. But what I'm saying is BYU, like at the level that Tom Homo's at, right, an athletic director level, dude, BYU isn't playing the did it happen or did it not happen game. I got news for you. BYU is playing the, hey, someone got called the N-word. I live in New York. Someone got called the N-word in Provo, Utah. By the way, where's Provo at? I've never even heard of Provo. So someone got called the N-word in some white town in Utah, and now we're here. I'm not surprised it happened at BYU. That's the sentiment that I feel like BYU deals with some of these people.
Well, there's just an assumption it happened.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's not like that. And I know we got a comment that said, well, if it was Alabama, why would this be a non-story? Because look at where Alabama's located. Look at the history of our country. Look at the fact that Alabama's the #1 team in the nation, bro.
Not many people would be not as many people would be outraged about it because I think there's a couple of things at play when we talk about stigmas here.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at BYU, you already have stigmas about the church. You already have the perception that BYU is a racist institution.
Totally.
And Utah's a racist state. Is some of that true? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Do we have barriers to overcome in this state? Yes, we do. But then you have the other things where you throw in the current culture in our country. You throw in the idea that this is a young black woman who says she was racially abused. I don't care where that is. That's going to get play, and the assumption's going to be that it happened, right? So that's where it all stops. Nobody's going to go to, well, let's look at videotape. Let's look at evidence. What does BYU say? Nobody cares what Tom Homo said Saturday night. Nobody cares because they just assumed. So you have to overcome all of that. That's why BYU, I think, had to proactively take action. Now, the criticism I would level at BYU is banning this kid the UVU student because Duke said so. That's something that I would always be careful with.
Well, and I think that people had a reaction to, and again, this, I would highly encourage, those of you who didn't catch our first couple of conversations on this last week to go back and listen to those, because this is one of those stories that the timeline and when things were said based on how long it had been since the event really matters. And
yes,
I think so the reaction to, hey, we're just going to ban this UVU student for life or whatever, when now, like after you did that, it came out that, well, he wasn't really even in the vicinity when it happened. This whole thing about dude approaching the Duke volleyball player after the game was, totally blown out of proportion by everyone's reporting. Like, that's what I mean. I think that it's not just a racist problem. The problem is that it's not like someone got called the N-word and it was on tape and BYU, reacted poorly. That's not all we're talking about here. It's that it's not on tape. The reporting wasn't great. There was, story A, story B, story C. There's a bunch of confusion around it. So you have Fox and CNN and ESPN and all the major outlets running with this, and the news cycle just turns into, hey, an N-word was dropped over here in conservative Utah. By the way, who's surprised, right? Like, that's the national sentiment, and that's why I say BYU does not get the benefit of the doubt. It just does not simply happen, man.
No, and I also think, though, let's not get carried away with, well, this is going to keep you guys out of the Big 12. We didn't want you here in the first place.
No, that's not true.
Go ahead and head back to the Mountain East. That's not happening.
Yeah.
That's not happening. And I think that's where the evidence matters. And I just think there's a certain point where there's a tipping point. AP voters are very different than Big 12 presidents.
And by the way, the last thing I'd say on this is I do get tired of having to have the conversation of, hey, well, BYU is this conservative white religious school. That means that nobody of color can go to their school. I am so tired of hearing people say that when I'm literally watching some dude named Jamal on Hard Knocks have an amazing career in the NFL, when we're watching people of all different backgrounds and stories and lives go to BYU and make huge impacts in the world. Like, I just get burned out on that angle of it.
Okay, I'm going to need help translating a Cody Strickland question. Hey, guys. Hi, Cody. I got to ask, does Hawaii Aland laughs or just a aloha? So I think his question was, does Hawaii allow laughing or just a low ha? Like, get it ha? Get it like ha 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 like a low.
See what he did there? It's like a loud laugh, but then it's a low ha 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 ha. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, let's move on. Lobes fan Gabe, well done, Cody Strickland. Don't encourage him. Did you casuals hear about the Hawaiian hipster who died? Apparently he walked on lava before it was cool. See, he was a hipster. The lava was hot. He walked on lava before it was cool. See, these are all Hawaii jokes.
Right. They're Hawaii jokes.
He's a Hawaiian hipster.
Right.
Eric C. says, sometimes I think leaving Cali for a state like Utah would be a culture shock, which sucks because it's too expensive out here.
Oh, there is no question that when you come to Utah, it is a different culture. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Utah is still this, basically like 99.9% white people only state. That's just not the case in Utah anymore. It's just not. And I think that when we talked about several weeks ago, when we were talking about Ryan Smith and everything he's doing in Silicon Slopes and who he is and all that good stuff, like that side of Utah is really what's blowing up. And I think that, when you, and I would even put it this way, like when you live in Utah and then you go to Phoenix or Southern California or basically any other market, there is culture shock. It does feel different. And I'm not even talking about the color of people's skin. I'm just simply talking about the way it feels. I can't describe it any other way than that. It just feels different. And to me, I love living in Utah. I love the state. I love Salt Lake City. Love the sports landscape, and that was one of the major reasons we moved back, and so I think it's a great place to live, but I think this culture thing is very interesting.
Is Greg Hawkins still here? Greg Hawkins is uniquely qualified to talk about this.
There he is right there.
There he is right there. Greg Hawkins says Utah people don't understand that there is a very distinct culture here. I agree with that.
And that's a great way to say it, distinct culture, yeah.
And Greg, obviously, for those of you who don't know, Greg Hawkins is a passionate Utah fan, but has lived around the world. And he's from Utah, lived in the Philippines, actor, model, TV star, man of the town and stuff. Anyway, the point is, I think, Greg, that's exactly the perspective I was looking for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I absolutely think that matters. And I think that, when you look at Utah, it is a very distinct, but I will also say I'll never call anywhere else home. I love Utah.
Yeah.
From the outdoors to, I actually think raising children in Utah is fabulous. It's one of the reasons I love living in South Jordan. It's specifically daybreak. I at 9 o'clock at night, there's a group of kids playing football on the grass or playing hockey in the driveway in the snow.
Well, get it right. It's Patrick Mahomes playing in the front lawn.
Yeah, patty ice and stuff.
Yeah.
That's every day.
The family atmosphere, the feeling of contentment, and the feeling of comfort in where you live and knowing your neighbors. My neighbors pick up my packages for me willingly when I'm out of town. It's just that it's the culture and the community here are amazing.
Yes.
And no, you will not be hit over the head with the Book of Mormon. The Mormons are not coming for you.
I think this is a great thing. I still live in an apartment, and the apartment complex that I live in, when we were still at the Yelpatory and I was working from home every day, they would come, missionaries would come through and knock on everyone's door and do what missionaries do. Probably once a quarter, maybe once every couple of months. It's not as though you're at the grocery store and some dude walks up to you with Book of Mormon and is like, hey, you better buy that salt and pepper. You're reading this damn book. That's not, I feel like people think it's just oppressive, and it's really not.
No, I think it's anything but oppressive is what I would say. Unlike the housing market right now, listen, folks, if you're trying to buy a house, there's only one guy you need to get to, and that is Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage. I tell you every day on this show that Devery Davis is a guy that I believe in. He's written 3 mortgages for me, not 1 or 2. He's written 3 of my mortgages, and Devery Davis has taken great care of me. And I just implore you, if you are somebody that's thinking about buying a house and you feel like you can't afford it, you got to call Devery Davis today, 801-543-9666, whether it's simple things like, hey, can I afford a down payment? Can I get qualified for this house? Hey, I'm competing with other people on houses right now and I'm losing. Devery Davis can make you a cash buyer. He'll give you a letter that your real estate agent will submit with your offer that says, hey, cash buyer, fully ready to close. Those are the advantages that you get when you work with a mortgage professional like Devery Davis. And here's the difference. When you hear all these other mortgage guys advertising, you're talking to somebody that doesn't exist. You're talking to one person, but you're going to call that number and you're going to talk to a call center. You're going to talk to Jimmy, who's working on commission, who's trying to get you to buy a certain product so that he makes money and that company makes money. When you call Devery Davis, you're talking to Devery Davis. He's a real dude right there in Ogden. Mm-hmm. You call him. He knows the Utah real estate market. He can advise you. He can put you into the right mortgage product. Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage is not only a good dude, he's a small business owner. He's a Utahn. And trust me when I say you better have the right mortgage guy or it's going to cost you money on a monthly basis. That's why you need to trust Devery Davis. And when I say trust him, how do you not like a guy that's simply salt of the earth?
You're listening to The Monty Show, my favorite peeps. I'm Devery Davis with the Davis Lending Team, powered by Academy Mortgage. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, you don't know what you're doing, you bought multiple homes, second homes, investment properties, multifamily, we've got you covered. Our office consists of everybody it takes to do your loan, from processing to underwriting to doc departments. We do it all right here. We're not waiting on Tucumcari or Walla Walla, Washington to answer an email. We take care of it here. The housing market's changed. Prices are dropping. It's the greatest time to buy a house. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you have any questions, you give me a shout. I'll walk you through it. Have a great day. Tell my Monty guys I said what's up.
Get out of here.
Dude.
Stop touching me. Devery
Having
Davis,
a damn wrestling match over here.
801-543-9666 for Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage. I want to switch gears and talk about Pat McAfee because I think one of the interesting things and one of the interesting storylines that we've had is Pat McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last, I don't know, I think really 2 years, Pat's really exploded. From the Pat McAfee show that, was a podcast to Spotify to SiriusXM to ESPN and losing his job at ESPN, going to professional wrestling at WWE. Well, it was announced officially today that Pat McAfee is now joining College Game Day, presented by Home Depot, on ESPN full-time as an analyst. Starting this Saturday when Alabama
Roll Tide
Coach Saban rolls into Austin to take on the Texas Longhorns. Pat McAfee will be on set with College Game Day. What is it about Pat McAfee that makes him such a gravitational personality?
He's young. That's what it is. I think that Pat is everything that you would want in a modern day energetic broadcaster. Like, I think you have, like, when we look at, the different types of broadcasters that are out there, to me, it kind of falls into two categories. You have your legacy guys where, your Jim Nances of the world, any guy who's been doing it more than 20 years who is the voice of this sport or that sport, right? Like Mike Breen, like, whoever you want to point to. You've got those guys. But then there's this other sect of human being or broadcaster like Pat McAfee or like Tony Romo when Tony Romo got into it, or whoever you want to point to, where you are a former player or a former athlete of some variety. You've gotten into the game. You are really good at what you do to the point where you're able to start your own product, or you're able to kind of get a long-term, contract or commitment out of, any major network, the NBCs, ESPN, CBS, whatever it is. And so to me, what makes guys like Pat McAfee so successful is they understand what today's listener or viewer wants. So to me, I look at Pat McAfee and I say, it's brilliant. Like, what you did is you stopped being a football player, but you took your football mind and everything you knew about the game and then also your relationships and the people you knew in the game, and you turn that into a product that people can consume. And now you've been rewarded with the opportunity to be on College Game Day. So I think it's his age. I think it's the way he does his show and the feel of his show. I love, like, admittedly, I don't listen to his show on a daily basis, but when I have listened, I love.
But wait, do you understand he used to play in the NFL?
Yes.
Do you even associate that with him?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely.
See, I don't,
yes.
and I know
I associate Pat McAfee with being the outrageous punter, kicker who dropped
See,
guys.
I don't.
Yes.
See, I don't. I don't look at Pat McAfee as a former football player. It's weird. Like, when I think about the best personalities that are former players, guys like Kyle Gunther or, like here in Salt Lake, we really struggle with that. I mean, I guess Scott Mitchell would be the highest profile guy now, maybe Hands, I don't know. But when I look at Pat McAfee, I don't look at them the way I look at Gunther, who was a center, or I don't even know what position Hands played, or
look at
Scott
Harris
Mitchell
LaChance.
as a quarterback.
Look at
Harris LaChance, yeah.
I mean, if Harris, like, let's say that, once Harris is done playing football, whenever that is, a year or 10 years from now, I don't know, obviously, but let's just use him as an example. If Harris LaChance goes on to do a podcast or become a media personality or, whatever that looks like, he's somebody that is talking about football and you want to listen to him because he played the game and he understands it. But here's the thing. This is super important. It is not good enough that you played the game anymore, right? It used to be, oh, well, hey, I played for, Poughkeepsie State in 79. That means I'm qualified to be on TV. It's not good enough anymore, right? It now, and this plays to the Pat McAfee thing. Now, look at Pat McAfee. not a quarterback, not some stud middle linebacker. This guy was a kicker. This guy was a special teams player that made some highlight tape of hitting guys on kick returns. And he turned that into what he is now. So that's why I say, like, for me, I do associate him with football.
Wow.
And I would tell you, I associate him more with football than his actual show. So, but it doesn't surprise me that he's on College Game Day now.
Yep, Marlon Shaw gives us a $50 tip. Marlon, appreciate you, my guy. Thank you. He says, guys, really appreciate the show. Don't always agree, but always provide an opportunity to look at different perspectives. Take the tip and do something fun on me.
Appreciate
Thank you, man.
man.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't look at I don't look at Pat as a football player.
But if you look at, like, look around the broadcast landscape, like, when Tony Romo came into the game, he was dynamic. He was transformative. He had this ability to look at a set and say, this is what the offense is going to do. And that's what took him to the level he got to lock up that big contract that he signed 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, I look at like Dan Orlovsky the same way.
Great example.
And this is the difference between a guy like a Dan Orlovsky and a Stephen A. Smith or a Skip Bayless.
Right.
The reason I don't respect Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or even Brian Windhorst, the issues that I have with those guys is I feel like they lack the ability to empathize with the player and understand situations. They just want to be outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like, one of the things I really like about Pat is that he may be sleeveless every day, and him and A.J. Hawk on their show may curse a lot.
There's a shtick.
But there's really good football in there. And they don't try to say, well, I know everything about all sports, because they know they don't. But they have guys who know baseball. They have guys who know. That's what I love about Pat McAfee is he's just a real dude, and I think that's what we lack. Hey, real quick, I did not know this. Greg Hawkins says, my dad is dying, so I'm back to help take care of him. Oh, Greg, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I had no idea that's why you moved back. I had no idea that's why you moved back. Boyd Lake says, best wishes to your dad, Greg, in my prayers. Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I wish you well. And Greg, I hope you're able to make it on September 17th, next Saturday. We will all be at Barbecue Pit Stop in Lehigh with our good friends from Papa Murphy's and Barbecue Pit Stop. We're going to have wings there as well. Jake's going to eat all the flats, so get ready to have some drums.
And I'm being serious. I'm not even joking anymore. Like, come out to the event, even if it's for a half hour, and check out Papa Murphy's Pizza on the smoker. Like,
yes.
I'm telling you, it is that good. Like, again, quick story, I didn't know anything about a smoker like a year ago. We've had our smoker for like a year, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about smokers
intimidating
before that.
I got to tell you, it was the first time we ever used a Traeger smoker. I had no idea what I was doing. It is simply just easier to use than a barbecue.
Yeah.
Than a briquette, than a propane. Like, I never have to worry about changing a propane tank ever again. I simply plug it in, put the pellets in there, and out comes amazing Papa Murphy's Pizza. By the way, you have got to go pick up some of their chocolate chip cookie dough. It's amazing. Like, you just break them out into little balls and put them on the smoker in the oven.
I know we have a lot of families on the show. Great to do with your kids. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like it comes in like this little sort of like tub thing, and it takes probably, I don't know, 10 minutes once it's on the smoker. Like, have some fun with your kids doing it. It's a good time.
Okay, so we have to ban Greg Hawkins from coming to the event on the 17th because he is threatening that he is going to eat flats with you.
My guy, Greg, baby.
Greg, there's no reason.
I love you, bro.
There's no reason for violence, Greg. There's no reason to do it. You don't have to eat flats. You don't just don't do that to yourself, man. We can all, there's enough drums for you. Trust me, man.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
Greg says he'll be there and he'll split the flats with you. He's going to split the flats with you. The DA says, what island are you on? We're on Kona. We'll be on Maui next week. Jesse Harsh says, that's why Aaron Rodgers only talks to Pat. Yeah,
well,
that's
he
the
doesn't
other
only
thing.
talk to Pat, though.
No, he was on some other show talking about, his ayahuasca thing the other day.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
I think, but Pat McAfee, and one of the things we're talking about today is Pat McAfee is joining College Game Day on ESPN. He'll be there in Austin this week as Alabama takes on Texas. By the way, I had the line pulled up on that game. This is crazy. Alabama is a 19-point favorite.
Bro,
at
what are you
Texas.
talking about, man?
So let me get this right. Alabama lost to Georgia in the national championship. Georgia steamrolled Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama steamrolled Utah State, and Alabama's still number one. And Alabama's a 19-point favorite at Texas. That's crazy.
On the road.
On the road at Texas, where College Game Day will be.
I'm telling you, Alabama, and again, I'm not saying it's undeserved or even unfair, but Alabama gets major preference in the lines, man. Like,
Alabama doesn't get preference. They've earned it. This is Nick Saban's best team ever on paper at Alabama. He's earned that. When you say, well, they get preference, that means that it's like given to them. Nick Saban has earned that. And that's a pet peeve of mine. I hate when people say, oh, well, Alabama's always number one just because they're Alabama. No, they're number one because they kick your ass every year. That's why Alabama's number one. They out-recruit you. They out-execute you.
Well, that wasn't the case last year, frankly.
Frankly, I think it was pretty even between the two because who won the SEC championship game?
Yeah, that might be true. That might be true, but that doesn't mean that doesn't, like, I disagree that they should just summarily be the number one team in the country.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah. What I'm saying is people know the talent and the quality that's on that roster.
Yeah,
people
they probably have 10, 15 NFL players on their team right now.
Yeah, people know how good they are.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying they don't get preference. They get more coverage.
Right.
They have a deeper understanding. They get more analytics. People know that roster more. They have no idea what Jaren Hall can do. They have no idea what Harris LaChance moving inside to guard means to that offensive line at BYU.
Unless they're playing BYU, and then they know damn well.
But they're well aware of all of those issues at Alabama. I'm just telling you, 19 points at Texas is a ton.
Donnie, please.
I don't buy.
Yeah, that's a lot, bro.
And I understand. Listen, it is a huge game. It is an afternoon game. It's on Fox. It is the game of the week by far.
Yeah.
And I mean, now Texas isn't ranked. I want to say, by the way, that BYU and Baylor is the only game with two ranked opponents in it.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about that. BYU and Baylor, I think, is the only game between two ranked teams. So, but having said that, it's Texas and Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's going to win by 2 scores, but 19 points?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, if you're a betting man, aren't you putting your money on Texas there?
Yeah.
I mean, I would
be. Texas to cover. Yeah,
absolutely. I would be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's see. Boyd Lake says Texas will be up for this game. Don't sleep on Sark. May not win, but there might be some surprises out of that game. We shall see for sure. For sure. Lopes fan Gabe says need a casuals getting cut hike next weekend. Could be up for that.
What do you bet?
Absolutely. I'm probably going to be jet lagged next weekend, though. 2 weeks in Hawaii.
Do you even live?
Yeah, 2 weeks in Hawaii. Coming back and just like hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
By the way, make sure you get to any of the 5 Utah barbecue pit stops.
This is like your last week leading up to it. It really is. We're going to be back the 14th, I think, is when we get back. So, that Thursday and Friday, we're going to pick up the boxes.
Yeah, man.
We got to get everything ready. So I'm just telling you, man, like might want to go and get registered.
I'm telling you, go to any of the 5 Utah locations for barbecue pit stop: St. George, Layton, Lehigh, Logan, and our good friends in Murray. There's a box on the counter. Enter to win. Make sure you get their barbecue sauces, their rubs, their spices, their Traegers, their Yoders, their big green eggs.
Yes.
Now, somebody was in the comments was saying that it takes longer to smoke. Smoking takes longer, Boyd says. But it's the best way to prepare your meat ever. That is absolutely right.
The smoker goes through probably a 15-minute warm-up process, but I mean, I could make the case that start to finish, like if you bought a new grill and a new smoker, that the smoker would be done faster.
And for things like wings, I don't care how you cook wings. It's about 20 to 30 minutes. On a Traeger smoker, 450 degrees, it's 25 minutes for wings, essentially. Mm-hmm. For pizza, it's about that same amount of time. Our Papa Murphy's pizza, we cook that at 425, 25, 30 minutes, depending on how brown or crisp you like your crust.
Yes.
The cookies, they're chocolate chip cookie dough that you take home and you make at home, 15 minutes.
Maybe.
And by the way, when you make chocolate chip cookies in the oven, let them cool. Let them cool. Let them rest. Let them breathe. And they're so perfect. Their s'mores, so perfect. I'm telling you, man.
I would tell you, too, with the smoker, the longevity thing, I like the fact that on a smoker you have the option to do like a 24-hour slow and steady brisket. You know, I like that you have that option to do like Thanksgiving. You have the option to smoke a turkey for like 10 hours, you know. On a grill, you don't really have that option. It's like, you know, your open flame, like you're going to burn the outside of it before the inside is cooked. And that's why I think the smoker is just dynamic. It can really do anything you want it to do.
Yeah. Let's see. Seth Anderson said, is there something to be said about BYU's disadvantage in sports due to recruiting struggles caused by honor code? No, there's not. I think.
Nope.
Bronco Mendenhall and I have had long conversations about this. Back when it was, remember the days of the Ice Bucket Challenge? Bronco came out and spent some time with Will Smith and I, the late Will Smith. And we just kind of sat and talked about honor code recruiting. And Kalani and I talked about this at Media Day one year. I can't remember. I know I've talked to Guy Holiday about this. Like, the honor code is not something that is a hindrance. It helps. Jamal Williams is probably the best example of that. Jamal's mom wanted him to go to BYU because of the honor code. Are there some kids who will never come to BYU? Yes, there are some kids who will never come to BYU, but it's probably much more than the honor code. I don't believe that the honor code hurts BYU. The stigma that BYU is a white institution hurts BYU.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to get kids, and whether they're brown skin, you know, Latino, black, you know, whoever you're after, you need those kids to come to a game in Provo, and they need to feel it. They need to see the rock. They need to see the beautiful surroundings. They need to understand that BYU, the culture at BYU is not as it is described. That's the biggest hindrance in recruiting at BYU. The church, the stigma about the LDS church, like, that's the biggest hurdle. Trust me when I say it's not the honor code. The honor code is a real thing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean,
with all due respect.
But it's not, I don't think it's the hindrance between them. I really don't. San Diego State Aztecs 21 says, smoked meat and smoked cookies, let them rest when done. Absolutely.
Correct.
You have to. Boyd Lake says 18-hour smoke on a brisket, pure heaven. Amen to that,
That's
my
right,
guy. The DA says this is why Whittingham left BYU, because he did not like the honor code. Utah doesn't have an honor, so he fits perfectly. Utah doesn't have any honor, so he fit. Kyle Whittingham, no, I'm not even going to address that.
Donnie.
Greg Hawkins gives us a $10 tip. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Appreciate you, buddy. Texas boy. It's BOII.
Right.
So it's Texas boy. BYU needs to work on their depth. Recruiting will improve, no doubt about that. I would agree with that. You know, there's certainly their depth will improve, as will your bank account improve when you go to trydaytrading.com. Do you know what day trading is? Let me ask you this. Are you the guy who's like, oh, yeah, I day trade on the side. I've got my E-Trade account.
Yes.
I make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You remember I took Dogecoin to the moon, bro.
Dogecoin.
Is that who you are? Why don't you learn to day trade for real? And furthermore, why don't you day trade with somebody else's money? And if you make money doing that, they'll split the profits with you. That's what Tri-Day Trading's all about. Get to trydaytrading.com today. And I know we've talked a lot about stocks and day trading on this show, and we more than dabble in it. I am specifically a pretty passionate stock guy. And the program at Tri-Day Trading is legit. They've been around for over a decade. Tri-Day Trading is not some fly-by-night company. And it's very simple at trydaytrading.com. If you want to get into day trading, if you want to take your day trading to the next level, and you really want it to be that side hustle that makes you money, if you really want to get out of your current 9-to-5 and become a full-time trader,
yes,
trydaytrading.com, because here's what you have to do. You go there, you register for their free webinar. You watch their webinar for free. No obligation. Watch the webinar. Then make a decision.
Fast.
Don't prejudge it. No, I'll never make money day trading. I lost all my money on Dogecoin. I lost all my money on silver or gold. By the way, did you know that they have a commodities program as well? They do. And what I'm telling you is that when you look into side hustles, day trading is a legitimate side hustle. I know guys who make thousands of dollars a day day trading. But they had to build up to that, and that's why you need to go to trydaytrading.com. Ryan, the guy that founded and is the owner of trydaytrading.com, is a really good dude. We've spent a lot of time talking to him, getting to know him. They're headquartered in Lehigh, another small business, local company that does it right. They're going to take care of you. And the cool thing is there's no obligation. You go there, you register for free. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show, trydaytrading.com. It's legit. You can get out of your 9 to 5. If you want to get out of it and you want to day trade and you're passionate about stocks, get to Try Day Trading.
You want that freedom to be home with your kids more. You want to drop them off, pick them up. You want to work out when you want to. You want to do those things. Like, that's the beautiful thing. It's not like, I know a lot of people will be like, well, it's day trading. Day trading is like a scam. Like, day trading is this whole thing that's like nefarious and not cool. And what I'm telling you is that the only reason a lot of us feel that way is because we don't know anything about it. We hear about things like the Wolf of Wall Street and all these other things, and we think, oh, well, day traders are just like the schemers, and they're trying to cheat the world basically. And that's not what this is. The reason that we decided to partner with Try Day Trading is because they have the program. You can go and look at the webinar. You can actually educate yourself on what they have to offer. And I think this whole concept of, hey, we'll give you money to essentially try, and obviously you're going to lose money until you learn how to do it, until they teach you the program. That's really cool, because I feel like that's a good faith thing that they're doing. They're saying, hey, we believe in our program so much that we will literally give you money so that you can learn. And if you make money on it, we'll split it with you. Like that, I think that's a great thing. So that's what I'm saying. If you have aspirations of leaving the 9 to 5, you want to be home more, you want to spend more time with your kids, you want to have more time to do a 10-hour brisket smoke on the Traeger you got from Barbecue Pit Stop. Like, come on, bro. Like, this is something that I would tell you to look at.
And the other thing I think is really cool is that you're not joking about their money. Try Day Trading will let you trade their money. And if you make money, they'll split it with you.
Yeah. I think that's a huge deal.
Yeah, that, and the other thing is, you don't just take their course and they never talk to you again. They give you elite high-level coaching.
In person, bro.
And it is really cool. And I think one of the best parts about it is, again, they're local. They are in Lehigh. It is really easy. They do a free webinar, you do a 30-day trial program, you get into this advanced coaching, and then the final step of their training program and their mentorship of you is you trade their money, day trading. You take their money and you trade, and they split the profit with you. Check them out online. I could espouse about it all day long. I'm really passionate about what Try Day Trading does. Check them out online at trydaytrading.com, another really good local business.
Well, and I think what we're really passionate about, again, is that freedom, is that the fact that on the show we believe that everybody deserves the chance to not have to be ball and chain to your desk for your 9 to 5. We believe that everyone should have the opportunity to control their day and do what they want to do with their day. And that's why we were so excited about this. That's what the core of it was.
Yep. The DA says, how long does it take to become a proficient in day trading? Their class is weeks long, but you're always evolving as a trader.
I think a lot of it depends on, frankly, just how committed to learning it you are. I think day trading is one of those things where it's much like learning how to ride a bike as a basic example. You have to learn the techniques. You have to know, what your graph is saying and what that means and how you should approach that.
And I can tell you this, there is a community. There's actually a group. There's an app called Slack, like a communication group called Slack. When I worked at Yelp, there was probably 300-400 people in that group that all day traded while they were selling at Yelp. And a bunch of those guys left because they started making more money day trading than they were making at Yelp.
Yes.
And at Yelp, I mean, you're talking, $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 in income. So those guys were making really good money day trading. It does not take long. Yes. Especially when you have elite coaching like you get from trydaytrading.com.
And the last thing I would say, because I don't want to run on too long, but if you really break it down on a monthly basis, and this is how I would encourage everyone to look at finances, think about what you have. What is your cost, your bottom line to pay everything, make sure your kids are good? What is your total cost to make sure everything is taken care of on a monthly basis, from phones to electric to feeding the kids?
Do you know that number in your life?
Yeah,
I know that number in my life. That's crazy.
Yeah. And you have to know that, because then every dollar you make after that is what I would call profit, or that extra money that you can
do whatever
save,
you want,
spend on Lambos and smokers, whatever you want to do with. And that's why I say the day trading thing,
income.
Yeah, the day trading thing isn't like, oh well, we wanted to make more money on the show. No, what we were looking for, and this is literally how we found Tri-Day, is we were looking to bring you guys something that was a bridge to get you out.
A lot of people ask us about side hustling.
It took us, legit, I mean, we worked at Yelp for almost 3 years, like Monday through Friday, grinding our ass off to spend probably, I don't know, for me, like probably 50 or 60% of that income on building what this show is now. So if you think about it, think about how, again, that number, you got to know that number, because then you can say, okay, what would I need to make? What would I need to make day trading to be successful?
What do I need? How much money do I need to pay my bills and take care of my family?
Yes.
And then anything beyond that is your discretionary income, right? That's what you have left to play with. So I would tell you, know that number, tridaytrading.com. I have 2 extra press box tickets to Baylor BYU game on Saturday. If I offered them to you guys, would you come with us, or will you be vacationing? Steve, we would come with you, but we'll still be in.
Unfortunately, we don't
Hawaii.
get back until next Thursday. I think it's the 14th. We get back, I'd have to look.
Yeah.
We would totally come. If we were in town, 100% I would go to that. And I really appreciate you offering that, man.
Yeah, we go to games all the time. We're going to the USC game. What's the last BYU game we were at? I think it was 2 seasons ago.
I think it was 2 seasons ago, yeah.
2 seasons ago. We did not go to a game last year. Kurt Meyer says, Steven, if they won't go, I'll be happy to go. I'm sure you would. I am sure that you would, sir. Andrew Plain says, I'll take those tickets. I'm sure you would. All right. So real quick to wrap up on Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Because Pat McAfee, for those of you who just tuned in to the show, Pat is joining College Game Day on ESPN starting this weekend full-time with Texas and Alabama and Austin. I think Pat McAfee is exactly what the Salt Lake City market is missing. When we look at the talent and the media and the people that are in Salt Lake City and the people on the radio or on TV, we're missing that compelling magnet of a personality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is because it's not currently here. And I think that's what Pat McAfee brings that so many people do not. Everybody on the radio or on TV here, whether you're talking football or basketball or baseball, whatever, it simply is a vanilla guy wearing a suit, just, talking about ED pills and football. And I think our as fans, we need more than that. As consumers of sports, we need more than that. We need personality. We need fun. I think that's why Pat McAfee is so successful. Tony Romo's successful because of that. I look at Barstool Sports on the whole, and I don't happen to be a Barstool fan, but I look at Barstool Sports, I think Barstool is successful for the exact same reason.
Right.
Because when you think about the guys you listen to, you don't really listen to much sports radio, mainly because you feel like the guys are aged out.
Well, yeah, I think they're aged out. I think they're a bit slow. Like, I guess because, and I'll be very transparent about this, I think a lot of it has to do with the way we do our show, frankly. Like, I feel like we work really hard to produce a show that has good energy, that has good topics, that has a real, like, we don't just roll out on the show. If you notice this, we don't just roll out on the show and be like, well, what do you think of BYU, or what do you think of this, or what do you think of that, right? Like, it's not just a generalized, generic sort of topic. Like, today we saw go to the Monty Show on Twitter, you can see the graphic. This whole concept of, hey, right, the AP voters aren't credible and we need a better system. We were both really passionate about that. So I struggle on the radio because I don't feel like it is what I call topically driven radio. Hey, we're doing 3 separate conversations today, and I'm well read on that topic. I'm well homeworked on it. I've researched it. I know what I want to say about it. Too often, we get people in our market on jumping on the radio, making mistakes with names and making mistakes with schedules and making mistakes here or there. Now, admittedly, one of the greatest things on our show is I said the Timberwolves were in the East and they're in the West, right? That's a slip.
Fraud.
What a fraud, right? That's a slip of the tongue. But for
one time, like a month ago, you said that.
Yeah. So my point with that, the reason I bring that up, is because a slip of the tongue is different than just not being well versed. So that's why I say you have to be. I just struggle because it's too slow, basically.
10 of the hour, every hour, football at 50 on the Monty Show. Football at 50 is presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza, papamurphyspizza.com. Make sure you download their app as well. Super easy to use. Use the promo code Monty25, MONTY25. Get you 25% off your purchase of $25 or more when you shop at Papa Murphy's Pizza. I think the biggest story in football so far this morning that's broken, Zach Wilson will not be available to the New York Jets until at least week 4 as he recovers from a meniscus injury in his knee. You remember in the preseason, that first run out of the pocket, a lot of people thought he tore his ACL. Well, it was a meniscus cartilage injury. He is not available until at least week 4.
No.
Yeah, Joe Flacco will be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
When they take on the Ravens this Sunday to open the NFL season. By the way, don't forget on Thursday's show tomorrow, because we'll be off for a travel day on Friday. Back on the show tomorrow, we'll have full NFL locks for you. Football season in the NFL kicks off tomorrow.
Let's go, baby.
So we'll have a lock for you on Thursday night. But no Zach Wilson until at least week 4. And by the accounts of this, most people feel like it could be a little longer than that. Speaking of the National Football League, very interesting happenings down in Big D. Now, I don't know if Dallas is going to be good. Okay, yeah, I do. They're going to suck like they do every year, right? But the Dallas Cowboys continue to have questions about the guys that they paid big money to, mainly Ezekiel Elliott. Is Ezekiel Elliott a number 1 running back in the National Football League anymore? Well, not if you ask Mike McCarthy, because he says Zeke and Tony Pollard, quote, are definitely a tandem. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's exactly right. I think Zeke's days of being a flat-out, bell cow back there are over. I think that Zeke has lost a little bit of his explosiveness. I think that he went through that time where he was overweight and had to cut weight and sort of had to not remake his body, but when as an athlete, when you put that weight on and then you got to cut it down, you tend to lose some muscle through that process and you got to rebuild. So he went through that whole thing, and I think Zeke, unfortunately, has been a guy that has had a few off the field incidents as well. So reputationally speaking, it's not great. So that's why I say overall, Zeke is not a number 1, and I completely agree that they should be running back by committee or a tandem, if you want to call them that.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I think Ezekiel Elliott's one of the most overrated players in the NFL. I think Dak Prescott is in a prove-it year, and I think Mike McCarthy should not still be the head coach of that team. I think they are going to be perennially underachievers until Jerry Jones doesn't own that team anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, did you guys hear about this Chase Young thing with the Washington Commanders as we deliver Football at 50 presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza, papamurphys.com? Chase Young, the fine defensive end who tore up his knee last year for the Washington Commanders, apparently aggravated a knee injury at Von Miller's pass rush summit, and the Washington Commanders are upset about it. But this was a huge story yesterday. Mike Jurecki, the longtime Arizona Cardinal insider, tweeted that Washington defensive end Chase Young aggravated his surgically repaired knee at Von Miller's offseason pass rush summit. Jurecki added that the Commanders aren't happy about it. Well, the interesting part of this is the Washington Post now reports that Young wasn't even at Von Miller's annual event, which would seem to make it hard for him to aggravate the injury there. Young wasn't invited to the event because Miller knew Young was recovering from a torn ACL. The Washington Post adds that Young remains on track from his recovery. He suffered the injury last November. He's eligible to return to the active roster after week 4 because he's on the PUP list. And essentially, which means the short injured reserve. How is this even possible that Mike Jurecki in Arizona is reporting this about? And how many times are we going to see this?
Repeatedly,
from an Arizona reporter, whether
whole...
it's on the Jazz and they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell to the Lakers.
The Suns.
Did that work out? Did that work out in any way, shape, or form? No, it didn't. Now we have another incident where a reporter in Arizona is reporting something that happened in Washington, D.C., and it turns out it was a complete joke because Chase Young wasn't even at Von Miller's camp.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's embarrassing. That's what it is. It's embarrassing. I mean, this is yet again, this is the Rick Bucher stuff. This is, any number of examples that you want to use. Like, it's just repeated. And I think that this is what guys do now. They take any information that they have and they just slap it against the wall, And again, I'm going to keep saying this. Like, we are very disciplined and rigid and strict about what we put out as far as reporting and what we don't put out. Because, again, as soon as the public sees you tweeted something or say something or whatever, that you reported something, you're going to be held to that. That's a ledger, basically. And I think that too often guys like Jarecki, with all due respect, take their profession for granted. You can't just throw things out there. And this is, whether we're talking Jarecki, Andy Larson, whoever, you have to be more disciplined than that.
Football 50, 10 of the hour. Every hour we bring you the biggest headlines around the world of football, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Use promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your order of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Walk in, do it online at papamurphys.com, or even better yet, download their app. It's super easy to order that pizza. Now, my favorite pizza at Papa Murphy's very clearly has barbecue sauce. Don't use red sauce. Go with the barbecue sauce, please. The mozzarella cheese.
The mozzarella.
And I think a must and an underrated ingredient on Papa Murphy's Pizza, green onion. You got it. Green onion, the onion mix, the mushroom, the pineapple, boom. 25 minutes on the Traeger smoker. Scrum delicious. Papa Murphy's Pizza. Monty25 is your promo code. PapaMurphy'sPizza.com. All right, before we get to top of the hour here, what's going on at Wingstop on Twitter? Has anybody noticed this? Wingstop's verified account just dropped an F-bomb. The only word that they tweeted was the F word.
Let me go ahead and pull up Rick Ross's,
I'm really hoping, Rick Ross, the rapper who owns like 8 million Wingstop locations. If this is an indication that Wingstop ran out of drums, it's going to be a very dark day in this country.
Yeah, did you seriously? I'm retweeting Wingstop's tweet. I said at Rick Ross, bro, did you run out of drums?
See, this happens occasionally. What is this? Probably 3-4 times a year. We'll get a corporate account that'll put something out like this. And if you do not follow me on Twitter